New reporting for MS Now revealing Secret Service agents were pressured to covertly surveil former FBI Director James Comey. Explain what happened here and what it means.
Well, Mika, this all arose in the context of Jim Comey trying to dismiss the so-called Seychelles case. That's the criminal case against him that emanates from a May 2025 Instagram post where he posted a picture of Seychelles in the formation of 8647 on a North Carolina beach. Jim Comey has now gotten some discovery from the government, and in the documents that he obtained was something absolutely shocking. This is definitely one of those pivotal moments for the rule of law. Jim Comey discovering in internal documents that the Secret Service didn't get a search warrant, didn't go about this the right way, but instead went to his phone service provider the day after this happened and said, we'd like to essentially ping this guy's phone or track him to know his whereabouts. And in order to do that, the only way you can do that is to say there is an exigency, that there is an emergency that threatens somebody's life or limb. In the paperwork that Jim Comey attached to his motion, you can see the discomfort that certain Secret Service agents have with this. One of them basically taking an internal call log where he says, I told them legally it was a bad idea. I discussed that this was legally questionable with other people, and they agreed. And still, he memorializes in this email exchange that the number 3 guy at the Department of Justice, it's not clear to whom he's referring, made clear that this was going to happen, whether the Secret Service liked it or not. Now, in our new reporting, we talk not only about the documents that Jim Comey and his lawyers attached to their motion, but the fact that we have had conversations with sources inside the Secret Service that corroborate this. Up to the very senior levels of the service, there was huge discomfort with the fact that they were being asked to electronically surveil Jim Comey at the time where there was no criminal investigation open, where it was just the Secret Service looking into this. And internal communications also reveal it was at Trump's behest. The head of the Presidential Protective Detail traveling on Air Force One with him, basically telling other service agents, the president wants to know what's going on. Give us an update.
Dave Ehrenberg, Jim Comey has asked that this case be dismissed. He's asked the judge to dismiss it, basically for selective prosecution, and also just because on its face, Seychelles in the form of 8647 are not a deadly threat. What's your sense of his chances of actually just getting this tossed out of court?
Gene, normally it would be very difficult. These types of defenses rarely work. But here, I think it's going to work because you have evidence that the president was monitoring and helping to lead the investigation. They're giving him dispatches on Air Force One. He wanted to know what's going on in the investigation. I think ultimately this case will never reach a jury. I mean, if you look at the documents released, you can see the extent to which federal prosecutors went to try to build this case. They couldn't find what was in James Comey's mind, his subjective view of what he meant by 8647. So they went to people around him. They still couldn't find any real evidence. So they went to the ultimate legal authority, Sammy the Bull Gravano. I'm not making this up. John Gotti's killer, the one who turned on the Gambino crime family. They used him as an authority to say what was in Comey's head. Is this a term that's used by the mob? And based on his testimony, what he told investigators, they thought they had enough to go after James Comey. It's never going to hold up in court. This thing is a sure loser. It's going to blow up in the face of prosecutors, just like all the other weaponized prosecutions. But Trump got what he wanted. He got a prosecution of his enemy. And there's an old saying, you can beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride.
Yeah, but Lisa, isn't it, again, I thought I'd seen other cases where using the term 86 was, even billboards that said 8647 was thrown out. And the information around that was that the 86 is a term for, in restaurants, like 86 a meal or something like that, or a dish, something like that. And I say that legally while also saying, I couldn't believe that Comey was stupid enough to do that with the Seychelles. I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? But that said, for a former FBI director, but that said, it's one thing about his heinous personal judgment, but legally, it really does seem to be a huge stretch, doesn't it?
Retribution.
absolutely a huge stretch. I'm not familiar with other cases about 86ing something, but I can tell you that one of the things that Jim Comey's lawyers attach is a search that the FBI did for their own database. Are there any threats that they had put in their own sort of corroborated threat database for the last 20 years having to do with the term 86? They came up empty. They also looked at the case files and trial transcripts for cases that Jim Comey handled as a mob prosecutor. It was because somebody affiliated with him said he must have had to know that 86 meant killing because the guy was a senior prosecutor. And in fact, Rudy Giuliani went on his podcast and said, oh, Jim Comey knew this because he was a mob prosecutor. Well, the FBI looked into that. They looked at the case files. They found absolutely nothing. There are more than 90,000 separate products sold on Amazon that have said 8645, similar number of 8647. They asked Amazon, has anybody from law enforcement ever come to you with respect to the sale of these products by independent sellers who are using Amazon as a platform?